Ukraine's defense minister is now suggesting that a counter-offensive campaign could begin as early as next month. Alexei Reznikov says that German Leopard tanks now arriving in Ukraine will likely be on the battlefield in April or May as Ukraine prepares to launch a counterattack against Russian forces. That word comes as Ukraine reports heavy Russian losses around the eastern city of Bakhmut. Officials say in just one day, nearly 100 Russian soldiers were killed, though they acknowledge the Russians have had partial success in their attacks. Still, the US Joint Chiefs of Staff chairman says it's the Russians who are paying the highest price.
These forces are very undertrained. They're essentially doing frontal assaults into machine gun positions, et cetera, and they're getting slaughtered. The Russian troops are. The Ukrainians are doing a very effective area defense that is proven to be very costly to the Russians. For about the last 20, 21 days, the Russians have not made any progress whatsoever in and around Bakhmut. So it's a slaughter fest for the Russians. They're getting hammered in the vicinity of Bakhmut, and the Ukrainians have fought very, very well.
CNN's Salma Abdelaziz is following these developments. She's with me here now in London. Salma, obviously it's very difficult to actually ascertain the numbers of casualties and fatalities on either side here. But what are we learning? What do we know for sure about the toll taken on both forces in Bakhmut?
It's difficult to ascertain the casualties, and it's also difficult to ascertain the level of control on either side. There's a couple of reasons for this, of course. We're not on the ground. Ukraine has very tough censorship restrictions, essentially, to protect its intelligence on the ground, so it makes it very difficult. And what you have, of course, is two competing narratives here, one from Moscow, one from Kyiv. Ukraine saying that it's had some success in recent days, that up to 100 Russian soldiers were killed just in the last period, that they've been able to hold and maintain the city of Bakhmut, but they also admit that there has been partial success on the part of Moscow. Now, you'll remember a few days ago, a couple of weeks ago it was, that the head of Wagner, Prigozhin, Yevgeny Prigozhin, was celebrating by putting a flag, a Wagner flag, right in the middle of Bakhmut. It seemed all but ready to fall. And even now, Prigozhin saying, yes, we are being battered heavily, admitting that in a voice message, saying that they are still inflicting serious damage on Ukrainian forces, but still struggling, of course, to take hold of that entire city. This is a battle that's been going on for months now, so all eyes on where that goes, but still very much that war of attrition between these two sides as we head into the spring.
Salma, thank you.
Ukraine says it is committed to defending Bakhmut and wearing down Russia's fighting forces. Ukraine's defense minister is showing off its newest hardware here, posting this video of Ukrainian units training on U.S. Stryker and Cougar fighting vehicles. David McKenzie joins me now from Kyiv. So, David, this is a city clearly both sides are keen to claim as a victory, but why does Russia in particular seem so willing to spend so many resources on Bakhmut?
Well, Rahel, I think it's because Vladimir Putin wants to show a win, and this has become a very symbolic initially not necessarily that strategic, but given the amount of forces being poured in from both sides, a very important site of the Eastern Front in Bakhmut. And you've had these claims and counterclaims coming from the Russians and from Ukraine and its allies that they are wearing heavily down the other side in this ongoing attritional battle. Now, it's very difficult to tell exactly the details of those claims. We do know, based on a preponderance of evidence, that the Russians and the mercenary group Wagner that have been fighting for them have lost a great deal of resources trying to take Bakhmut over many, many months. But it is clear also that Ukraine has lost many men there. It's unclear how many because Ukraine doesn't specify those kinds of losses. But the proof in this is that Russia has not taken this city. We certainly would know if they had, and the fight continues. There's been some indication that Russian attacks in the zone have been slowing down in recent days. Again, impossible to independently verify that. This comes as these new US hardware comes into the country that they were showing off, the Stryker and Cougar. One is a armored personnel carrier, the other is a carrier to take into minefields, or into a minefield zone to avoid being struck or damaged by a mine excessively. Those show that the latest hardware is in here, and that the amount of hardware is certainly increasing in recent weeks since I've been here, that indicate that possibly we're reaching a threshold where Ukraine might be comfortable in striking back at Russia, but no direct evidence of where that will happen and when exactly that will happen. Rahel?
David Mackenzie there live for us in Kyiv. Thank you.